Okay, right. So, uh, last week we discussed the comparative and superlative. That's what we discussed. Actually, week before the last week. Last week we were on leave. So, week before the last week we discussed comparative and superlative. Okay, so we'll be doing a bit more about comparative and superlative this week as well. Okay, let's look at this lesson. It's lighter and thinner. Okay, so when you say it's lighter and thinner, it's the comparative form, right? So we learned about this. When you say lighter and thinner, it's the comparative form. Let's look at the vocabulary first. Opposites. Label the pictures with the correct words, then listen and check your answers. Okay, so label the pictures with the correct words. Okay, so let's look at the pictures and let's use these words to fill in these blanks. So this is a car and this is also a car. So here they have used the word small. Right. So if you are comparing, you need to use for this one. This is a big car. No? When you compare, there is a small one, there is a big one. So we have to use the word big. So these are two fans and this one is quiet. If it is quiet, the opposite word is obviously loud. No? The opposite word is loud. There is a thin one. Thin. If it is thin, then for the other one, the opposite could be thick, right? Opposite is thick. If you take light, this is a light computer. If you take light, the opposite is heavy. The opposite is heavy. The next one, printer, fast. Then the opposite is slow. And this one is camera, cheap. Then the opposite is expensive. Expensive. Right. So these are the opposite words. No? Small, big, quiet, loud, thin, thick, light, heavy, fast, slow, cheap. If it is cheap, then the opposite word is expensive. So if you look at a laptop is light, no? But if you look at a computer is a desktop. A desktop is a bit heavy. So we can compare these items using these words. So we are going to learn about the comparative and superlative that we learned actually in the previous weeks. This week we are going to uh, do more practice. Okay, let's see this one. Which is better? Okay, so when you say better, when you use the word better, we are talking about the comparison. Better. කෝකද වඩාත් හොඳ. So we are talking about the comparison. Read the message board, then label the pictures. Okay, let's see which is better. There are two phones, no? They want us to tell as to which one is better. Which one is better? Let's see. Star X07 or my phone. Okay, so there are two phones. One is star X07 and the other one is your phone, my phone. Let's see which one is better. Michael 12 posted May 5 11:45 p.m. Help, I need a phone and can't decide between the star X07 and the my phone, which is better. Okay, so there are two phones, one is star X07 and his phone. Which one is better? So that's a comparison that we are going to do. Which one is better? Okay, there's another user. That person is saying get the star X07, it's lighter and thinner. Okay, so when you say it's lighter and thinner, okay, it's lighter and thinner than the my phone. Than the my phone, this one is lighter and thinner. Okay, so if you look at the words light and thin, light and thin are the adjectives. To describe a noun, you can use an adjective. No? A light computer, a light bag, right? Thin. Thin means there is also an adjective. A thin person. Thin. So these are adjectives. Now we are using the comparative form. We are using the comparative form to compare two things. lighter, lighter. So that is a comparative form. Thinner, when you say thinner, that is also the comparative form. That is also the comparative form. So this person is saying, get the star X07, get this phone because it's lighter and thinner than my phone. Okay. So when you are using the comparative form, you need to use the word than. Lighter and thinner than the my phone. Than. So it's a must for you to use this than when you are using the comparative form. It's lighter and thinner than the my phone. Okay. The my phone is better. Okay, so here also they are saying the my phone is better. Better. So when you say better, it's a comparative form. If you look at the adjective of better, that is good. No, good. The comparative form is better. No, comparative form is better. The my phone is better. It's less expensive. Okay, so less expensive. This is also the comparative form, less expensive. Expensive means that is an adjective, expensive. But if you want to use the comparative form of expensive, that is less expensive or more expensive. That's how we say less expensive or more expensive. Hmm? Less expensive, and the internet connection is faster. Internet connection is faster. When you say faster, that is also the comparative form of the word. Comparative form of the word, faster. It has a larger choice. Larger is also the comparative form. Larger choice of colors too. The star X07 comes only in black. Comes only in black. Okay, so there are a lot of comparative words used. What is this? Lighter and thinner. It's lighter and thinner than the my phone. My phone එකට වඩා මේක light කියන බරෙන් අඩුයි සහ thin කියලා කිව්වොත් එහෙම ඝනත්වයෙන් අඩුයි නේ ඝනත්වයෙන් අඩුයි. The my phone is better. My phone is better. Better කියලා කියද්දි ඒක comparative form එක. සසඳීමක් තමයි කරන්නේ. compare කිරීමක් කරන්නේ. better වඩා හොඳයි. It's less expensive. මිල අඩුයි අතර. අරකට සාපේක්ෂව මේකේ මිල අඩුයි. සංසන්දනාත්මකව. comparison එකක් තමයි කරන්නේ. It's less expensive. It's less expensive. And the internet connection is faster. වේගය වැඩි. It has a larger choice of colors. එකේ හුඟක් colors තෝරගන්න තියෙනවා. The star X07 comes only in black. Star X07 කියන එක ඉන්නේ කළු පාටෙන් විතරයි. Right. Okay. Now, this is the way that the comparative form is used when you are talking in English or when you are writing in English. This is how the comparative form can be used. So here they are comparing two mobile phones, and they are using these comparative forms of the adjectives: lighter, thinner, better, less expensive, faster, larger. So these are the comparative words that are used. So we need to learn these comparative forms if you want to compare two things. If you want to compare two things, you need to learn the comparative form. So when we look at all these things, it seems like my phone is better. No, my phone is better. They're asking which one is better. So I would say my phone is better. The reason is my phone is less expensive, faster. There is a larger choice of colors, right? Because of all those reasons, it seems like my phone is better than the X07. Than the X07. Okay, right. Now let's look at this one. Okay, so the grammar part. What's the grammar? The star X07 is lighter than the my phone. So when you are writing the comparative form, light is the adjective, the comparative form is lighter. Light is the adjective, the comparative form is lighter. We have added er at the end. So when you write the comparative form sentence, the star X07 is lighter than the my phone. My phone එකට මේක බර අඩුයි, lighter. The star X07 is lighter than the my phone. The my phone is heavier than the star X07. Heavier than. So when you are talking about the comparative form, you say heavier than the star X07. So heavy is the adjective, and if you look at the comparative form of the heavy, that is heavier. Which cell phone is more expensive? which cell phone is more expensive. So when you say expensive, the comparative form is more expensive or less expensive. More expensive or less expensive. The star X07 is more expensive than the my phone. So you can see than is used when you are using the when you are comparing two things. More expensive than the my phone. The star X07 is more expensive than the my phone. The my phone is less expensive than the star X07. So here also they are saying less expensive than. So when you use the word expensive, remember for you to compare, you have to either use more or less. More expensive than, less expensive than. The adjective is expensive, but when you are using the comparative form, it's more or less. Only you have to use in front of the adjective. More expensive than, less expensive than. Is the my phone better than the star X07? No, I don't think it's better. It's worse. No, I don't think it's better. It's worse. If you are simply saying better or worse without mentioning the other noun, then we have to simply write better or worse. දැන් මෙතන වෙනස බැලුවොත් එimhe ළමයි දැන් මේකේ better than කියලා ලියලා නැහැ. ඇයි? අනිත් noun එක ලියලා නැහැ මේ වාක්‍යය. ඒ කියන්නේ star X07 එක my phone එකට වඩා better කියලා කියනවා නම් එතන දෙකම ඒ noun දෙකම ලියනවා නම් ඔන්න better than කියලා ලියන්න ඕනේ. Star X07 is better than the my phone. නිකම් මේ noun එක ලියන්නේ නැතුව ලියනවා නම් නිකම්ම better කියලා comparative form එක විතරක් ලියනවා. No, I don't think it's better. It's worse. Bad කියන එකේ comparative form එක තමයි worse. Good කියන එකේ comparative form එක තමයි better. So these are the comparative forms of these adjectives, right? So when you write the comparative form, always remember if both the nouns are there. So you can see the star X07 is the item that we are comparing with the my phone. The my phone. So there are two things that we are comparing. Then you have to use the comparative form of the adjective, that is lighter. Then you have to use than, lighter than. Here also you can see my phone. The my phone is the noun and the star X07 is the other noun. So these two nouns are compared. So when you are comparing, you have to use the comparative form of the adjective. Then you have to use than, heavier than. Heavier than. The my phone is heavier than the star X07. Right. Now let's look at this one. Right. Let's try to do this exercise. Complete the sentences with the correct comparative form at than if necessary. Right. Only if necessary. Remember this one. At than if necessary. If it is required only, we have to use than. So you have to be careful whether than is required or not. You have to think about it. Then compare with the partner. Okay, so this is what we have to do. Complete the sentences with the correct comparative form. Okay, so within brackets they have given the words. So we have to use the correct comparative form of these words. And also, if it is required, we have to use than as well. If it is required, we have to use than as well. Okay, there are 6 questions, right? Okay, can you all do it and send me the answers in the Google chat? Students, please do this one and send me the answers in the Google chat. Once you send it, then we can discuss. Motuli has sent the answers. Faster than, heavier than, less expensive, bigger, more expensive, better than, worse. Yeah, Mutuli, one small mistake is there. Other than that, all the answers are correct. Harini, faster than, heavier than, less expensive than, bigger. Harini, check the spelling for bigger. The spelling seems a bit incorrect. Expensive than, better than, worse. Yeah, the other answers are correct. Yeah, third one also you have corrected. Yeah. Fourth one, your spelling for bigger is incorrect. Yeah, now it's correct. Circular, heavier than expensive, bigger, expensive than, better than, bad. Yeah, circular, couple of mistakes are there. Let's see what those mistakes are. Expensive, there is no word called expensive. We say more expensive. Even in the previous, when we were discussing about the, what do you call, the grammar part, we saw that it is not expensive, it's more expensive. It's more expensive. Yeah. Mutali, your correction is right. Your correction is right. And Sakula, the comparative form of bad is worse. Comparative form of bad is worse. What we have used is just bad. That's not the comparative form, that's just the adjective. We need to use the comparative form of the adjective. That's what we need to do. All right, students, Benuti has to write the answer. No? Okay, let's see. Okay, so while Benuti is writing the answers, let's look at the answers. I'll write the answers from my end. Okay, so the exercise is complete the sentences with the correct comparative form. Add than if necessary, then compare with the partner. Okay, so we need to write the comparative form. Is your new printer space within brackets they have given the word fast your old one? Okay, so new printer, they want to compare it with the previous one. Okay, so they want to know whether it is faster, right? Comparative form is faster, not faster than. Faster than. Is your new printer faster than your old one? Why do we use than here? Because the other noun is given. Old one means that's the previous one. So the two, both the nouns are given. New printer, old printer. So when both the nouns are given, when you are comparing, you use the comparative form of the adjective. At the same time, you use than. Is your new printer faster than your old one? The comparative form is used. Next one. Are desktop computers always space within brackets they have given the word heavy laptops? Okay, so they are comparing desktop computers with laptops. Okay, right. Then when you are using the comparing, you have to use the comparative form heavier, since laptops, that's the other noun. Desktop computers is one noun and the other noun is the laptop. So both the nouns are given. Then it's a must for us to use than. Are desktop computers always heavier than laptops? Are desktop computers always heavier than laptops? Next one. This new camera is really cheap. It's space expensive than my old one. Okay, so they have used the word expensive here, but than is already used in the sentence. We don't have to use than. We don't have to write than because they have already written it. Than my old one. Okay, so when you use expensive, the comparative form is more expensive. The comparative form is more expensive. Comparative form is more expensive. The new camera is really cheap. It's more expensive than my old one. It's more expensive than my old one. So more is used here because the reason is the comparative form of the word expensive is more expensive than my old one. Next one. I like this TV, but I think I want a space within brackets they have given the word big one. I want here it's one, they have not given the noun actually. I want a big. What is a comparative form is big? That's bigger. Comparative form of the word big is bigger. I like this TV, but I think I want a bigger one. The other one is not mentioned here. The noun, uh, the word of the noun is not given here. So because of that, we simply say I want a bigger one. I want a bigger one. In this sentence, we are not, the other noun is not mentioned, so because of that we simply say bigger. I like this TV, but I think I want a bigger one. Next one. This phone has an mp3 player. Okay, this phone has an mp3 player. So you can see an is used here before the mp3. Okay, so an, we normally know an is used before a word which starts with a vowel sound. before noun which starts with a vowel sound. M is not a vowel letter. Vowel letters are A, E, I, O, U. A, E, I, O, U. These are the vowel letters. So M is not a vowel letter. But they have used an here. What's the reason? Because when you say M, the first sound that comes out is A, M, M. When you say M, A is the sound that first comes out. Because of that one, they have used the word, the article and. So always remember when you are using a or an, it's not for words which start with a vowel letter. We use an. No, not for that. If the word starts with a vowel sound, then we have to use an. If the word starts with a vowel sound, then we have to use an. So when you say MP3 player, M, when you say M, the first sound that comes out is A, M, M. When you say M, it's A sound that comes out first. Because of that, we are supposed to use an here. This phone has an MP3 player, so it's space within brackets they have given the word expensive. Other phones, other phones. So when you say other phones, the other noun is given. Then when you are using the comparative form, expensive. Okay, so when you say expensive, you know, you have to use more to compare. More expensive than other phones. This phone has an MP3 player, so it's more expensive than other phones. More expensive than other phones. The last one. My new camera isn't space within brackets. They have given the word good. My old one. My new camera isn't. Comparative form of good is better. Better than my old one. So both the nouns are given, new camera and the old one. So because of that, we have to use than. My new camera isn't better than my old one. In fact, it's bad is the word that is given within brackets. What's the comparative form of bad? It's worse, right? In fact, it's worse. In fact, it's worse. In fact, it's worse. Okay, right. Yeah. Benudi has also written the answers. Benudi, third one, not more expensive. No, more expensive. The answer is more expensive. And the fifth one, Benudi, more expensive than. You have to use the word than because when you say more expensive, definitely you have to use than. More expensive than other phones because the noun is given. If the noun is given, then you have to use than. More expensive than. And the other last one is Benudi, comparative form of good is better. Better than. My new camera isn't better than my old one. Not very good. You can't use the word very good here because we are talking about the comparative form. Since we are talking about the comparative form, it has to be better than. My new camera isn't better than my old one. In fact, it's worse.